Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Al Rosen.
Welcome to CAD-134, Basic AutoCAD for Interior Design. Today we're going to take a look at Module 8, the kitchen elevation. And what we have done here, I'm going to have to move this, excuse me, is to give you a file that has already got a lot of the detailing done, because as we're working this class with a very small class, we know people know how to do the detailing work. And when we look at the detailing work, we could save a lot of time if we spent with existing details and then went through things like how to work with dimension styles and dimensioning and some of these other things like multi-leader styles. And so that's the angle that we're taking. You're more than welcome to do these drawings from a clean sheet if you would like to. The instructions are right by the book. But we thought that by providing these files, we could streamline the course a little bit since we have a smaller class. You'll notice that they put a gradient on these. That's not required. We'll talk about that a little bit in our lecture, but what we had found was that we were using an older file and they had multiple layers of gradients that we had to delete out to fix it. And we did fix it. Here's the elevation drawing. And then here's the content. And so if we take a look at it, the labs in the textbook are kind of geared around a couple of different projects. One of the projects is this conference room, which we worked on last week. And so when we look at this conference room, last week, we gave you the student files, and then we went through and calculated out the area of each of the rooms, which is a really great technique to be able to use. And rather than, again, detailing up the entire floor plan just so we can learn how to do the area, we gave you the file. But you're required to put the calculations in, fill in the table, and then to dimension the interior room sizes. Nothing super hard. All right. So with that, one other thing, we have a test next week. And we went through and spent some time, Al and I, talked about it just before our meeting, and what we put together was a online practice test. And so under quizzes and exams, we've created this practice exam midterm, and we're going to set that up for unlimited taking of the test, for lack of a better word. If we look at it, it basically has 60 questions, and we went and adapted them all for D2L. And so if we look at the matching questions, they're great. We can come in here, a command that tells you what line a layer is on and its length. That would be number 5, list. A command that allows you to draw up to 16 lines at a time. That would be, I believe it's 4, multi-line. Well, what's good about this is that you can take the test and then you can kind of learn the terminology as you take it. A command allows objects to be copied in rows and columns. That would be the array command. A command that allows you to change the length of line so it touches a boundary edge. And a command that can be used to modify a multi-line without exploding it. It's got to be 3. And so it'll automatically grade it. We just made this test and converted it over to D2L. So if you do see any errors in it, that's a good time to check it within the practice exam. So the practice exam, we'll put it in the splash page, will be very similar to the exam that will be activated next week. And what we'll do is we'll set this up. It won't allow any points. But it will allow students to take the exam multiple times. And so we'll set this up for unlimited, and we'll save it. And we highly recommend that you take the test and you do well on it. We want to see you do well on it. And so that's why this practice exam is there, because our bosses will come in and say, hey, show us your grade book. What are your students up to? And we can make the class, we just have to make sure that we meet our responsibilities and our objectives for assessing. And so that will be next week. And there's two parts to the exam. There's going to be the practice midterm, and then there's going to be the hands-on drawing component of it. And I'm not sure where the hands-on drawing is, but it looks like this, where we'll be doing a rectangular shaped room with dimensions and with furniture. And so plan on next week to take the hands-on exam and the multiple choice exam, and that'll be it. That's what we will cover. Right, Al?
That's correct. By the way, it's a whole week. So we have a whole week to finish up the drawing and take the test, and everything else goes along with it.
Exactly. And so backtracking here to the home page, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the student file. I'm going to download that. And we'll open that.
It's a DWG, by the way.
And if we look in model space of this drawing, so the instructions, and it comes up on the paper space page, create the viewports to the kitchen elevation on the layout tab, set the viewport to 1/2 inch equals a foot. And so we can go up here to a viewport layer, and we can say view, viewport, one viewport. We'll create one viewport. We'll double click in that viewport. We'll center on the cabinet elevation. And then we'll set that scale for 1/2 inch equals a foot. And it looks like I need to make the viewport bigger to get it to fit. It's not bad. It's okay. I could certainly make it a little bit bigger because I don't need the instructions. So I could get rid of that. And then I could make it bigger. Remember to lock the viewport after you put it in, and then create another one. Because viewports are kind of the thing with CAD, AutoCAD, in some of these projects, because we're finding people are fine once we learn and teach them how to draw. But some of these other things like viewport layering, dimension styles, and things like that, we want to just get everybody teched up. Whoops.
Slippery little thing.
Yeah. So we'll set that and we'll lock it. And that's it. Put your name on it and add the information to the title block. And then when we go in here into model space, you're welcome to go ahead and to
Experiment.
right, or to add the details. And so if we take a look at it, we didn't put a ton of stuff into it because we just want people to be able to work with some of this existing curriculum in here. With that said, let's go back to the main splash page. So that's the student file. And then if we look at the drawings, add the dimensions as shown, or you can add the dimensions, sorry, per the textbook. But we do want that to be dimensioned. And so I guess we should have added that into the instructions, but that's about it. That will keep us to a point where we're working with things that we are trained with. And then if we look at the chapter 8, kitchen elevations, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording and post this, and then we'll go through the lecture part so this doesn't get very long. So from a standpoint of this week's objectives, Module 8, kitchen elevation, open the file, add viewports to the kitchen elevation on the kitchen layout tab. This add gradients, I thought I changed that to add dimensions. Let me refresh that and see. Yes, and so let me go and add dimensions to that, fix that, and then we'll be set. We'll call it a detail. So not a real difficult assignment this week. And we didn't want it to be difficult because we're going to be giving a test next week. And so you're to add dimensions to the cabinet elevation. This one's already got them there. You can add the red dimensions. Save the file with your initials and place in the assignment folder. And then lastly, again, as a review, the quiz, the test for next week, I've put a practice midterm in here. And the practice midterm is all D2L, and it allows you to take this test as many times as you want. Al and I spend a lot of time putting this together so that it's all electronic and automatically graded. But we just did it. And so if you do see any errors in it, let us know. But things like how many layers may be used in a drawing, an unlimited number. That allows us to assess the course, see if people are reading the book. And then when somebody says, hey, Joe, Al, what are you guys doing in there? You can say, we're following the book and we're doing our job. Okay, with that, take the practice quiz exam as many times as you like. It will be very similar to what you will see next week. You have all week to do the exam, and the exam will be two parts. One part is the quizzes and exams, multiple choice, matching, true, false. And the other part will be a drawing like from the end of chapter 3 with the conference rooms. We'll basically have you draw and detail a floor plan and turn that in. Al, is there anything else I need to add before I stop the short recording for this week?
No, I think we covered everything. It's fantastic.
Terrific. So I'm going to stop this recording so that we can post it, and then we'll go through today's lecture and question and answer. All right.